Hello everyone, this segment is to let you know that this video contains a Stardock product and was made during the time that I was contracted as a content developer for Stardock Corporation, but was not made under that contract. Thank you for listening, please enjoy the video. Here we go everybody, final round of the day. Welcome once more to round number 5 of our Team FFA tournament. This time, once again, most of the captains are back. Death Tacticus Blues year end, and we are going to round up the group with PB Head as the chosen player from our red team to try and compete against them. And of course, Terra Incognita still once again joining us for this last round.
Yep, hello everyone. So Carbon, not great, not a whole lot of adjacency. I wonder if we're going to see an expansive in spite of that. Instead, Blues with the 38,000 found in the silicon field and the iron as scientific. Interesting.
That is pricey. I mean,
very
$160
pricey.
glass, right? $160 glass. Warehouses at the colony. Got access to that steel, although he's starting with iron. Very sensible thing to do.
Yeah, you need the iron to get the money for the steel. But that glass is super good in his defense. Look how profitable this glass is. 78 for a single tile because oxygen started low and he's going to get the silicon for free. So it's a whole bunch of money. They're going to be making, what, 120, something like that per second when he puts a pair down?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a whole bunch of money.
Huge amount of cash for him. Although PB, with that aluminum, is going to be our first player up to HQ number 2 as our expansive player. He's getting into the steel mills now. Not as profitable as the glass kilns are going to be, but it will let him get through those upgrades pretty quickly. Blues also now having to transition away from iron and on into that steel. That would be the downside of making iron first. You've got that 20-second transition afterward.
That's really painful that he didn't get the immediate upgrade on just producing those iron, because he's going to have to wait a whole bunch of time for those steel mills to complete. And now he can upgrade pretty much as soon as he sells down his excess aluminum. But it's a whole lot of time that he's wasting not making glass, when really what he needs to do is make glass. And as soon as he hits 2, he claims 2 of those 3. Didn't initially claim all 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's now 2 of those 3 silicon tiles to make glass.
And then he rounds out that triangle. Now, big thing about this, though, is that claims have been available on the market. It looks like everybody else has managed to get a piece of that pie so far, but Blues left out of it, left with a lot of debt, last to upgrade despite being first to found, and he's struggling to actually get this glass online, of course, because he needed the steel for that. And now that he's making steel, steel is plummeting in value. I'm kind of curious if he regrets having finished that triangle off with these steel mills instead of going for an additional glass kiln long term.
Yeah, I think just that break point that he didn't quite hit is going to be really painful for him. DT has actually taken 2 claims very early on from the black market. So as a robot, as HQ2, he now has 8 claims down, which is a whole bunch of claims to be used pretty much however he wants. He's making a bunch of steel. 9 claims, in fact. Oh, because he got the extra one from founding later.
Late. Yeah, I think he was our last player down.
Yeah, so he gets that one now. Look at Power, though. Power exploding because there's so much steel being produced.
Yeah. And that's the big thing for Blues, right? I mean,
yeah,
if he just
Blues is in so much debt.
Not gone for that 3rd steel mill. I think that was just such a huge error. If he had just looked around the map, and this is the kind of thing you can spot just by looking around the map. See, all right, 3 steel mills from an expansive, 4 steel mills from a robot, 3 steel mills from another robot with extra adjacency. Everybody has iron, lots of aluminum flowing for the most part. All right. Upgrades aren't going to be a problem. Steel's not going to be a problem. I need to do something else. And now I'm really kind of worried about Blues long term this game. Good for him that he has Cook the Books available.
Yeah, he really needs it. And has he already cooked the books once? Somebody's bought it. I imagine it's him.
I believe
yeah,
that was
he
him.
has.
But that's just claims he's not getting right now.
Yeah, well, the claims are already at 10k, and they were at 10k when the black market opened for him, because that was 90 seconds after his found, obviously being first to found. So yeah, it's really difficult to see what Blues does from here. I'd almost be tempted, in fact I would be tempted, to turn those steel mills off, because the amount of debt that he's leaking right now is just huge. He's got no means of paying that back at any point. He's going to be 64,000 right now. He can upgrade, which is huge for him. He's going to make a whole bunch of silicon by the looks of it.
Yep.
Yeah, which, I mean, silicon's not great, honestly. Not a whole lot of money to be made there in the short term, at least. So he's definitely in the game. And honestly, everyone else is in a bunch of debt as well, because nobody's gone into power yet, or very
DT's
few
got
people.
it now.
Yeah, DT does now, but yeah. certainly for a
Oh,
while.
and PB
Well,
has a
DT,
little bit of weak wind as well. That's a nice decision from his part.
yeah, so yeah, he's getting a little bit of a power surplus. Yerand completely ignoring power, at least for the time being. Oh, he's taken the two geotherms that are right next to each other and right next to his base, and he has a patent lab, and I assume the first thing he's going to do with that patent lab is go straight into superconductor,
Yeah,
and
but I
that's how he's going to deal
really
with his debt.
hate this decision, actually. I think this is a huge error. I'm
It
I'm not
might
even a
be.
little kidding. I hate this patent lab. It would have been so easy to just go ahead and get those geotherms online, and that is so much power already at that point that you're going to be
Yeah,
fine. You just goon
6 a
squad
second.
one or both of them if you can. It's so much power. Even if one gets taken away, as long as it's not a mutiny, that's
Yeah.
3 a second available very, very easily from one geothermal plant. You don't need this patent lab. He can't even afford this patent lab, and he's already in a D level of debt because he delayed getting this geotherms online for so long in order to try and make the patent lab work. It's just
And also, I
very
mean,
poor
so
decision.
he's got his geotherm down now, but he's still in a power deficit because look how much he's shipping all the way across the map. This silicon in the south, water in the south, aluminum in the southeast. All of that is just being shipped, and he's leaking what 1.6 a second just on the freighters, and that is real money right now for him. That's not just debt, that's real money because he has to pay that back urgently.
Yeah, he is absolutely having to get rid of this debt as fast as he possibly can. And that is not looking good for him with these slowdown strikes coming in. I mean, he committed a goon squad to the patent lab, and now Blues has taken superconductor away. Just that scientific thing. I
Oh,
love this mutiny. I really do. But superconductor has gone the way of Blues. The mutiny obviously being fantastic for anybody who doesn't spot it because it is disconnecting Blues' power from his headquarters and preventing him from benefiting from that superconductor upgrade for the time being.
yeah, that is going to make a big difference. But honestly, it's not going to make enough of a difference for Yaren to get back into the power situation because look how quickly power is falling. 150 now, and it's on its way down. It's basically fallen off a cliff as of a couple of minutes ago, and that's just as Yaren's got his geotherm up. There's a pleasure dome up for auction, which is kind of interesting. It looks like it's going to go to PB head, and I guess that's going to consume a little bit more power. But yeah, it's difficult to see Yaren, particularly if power continues to do what it's doing, which I mean, there's no sign of it stopping right now. But it's going to be so hard for him to pay off that debt.
Yeah, worth noting that Blues has managed to stabilize his debt for the most part at this point. He's sitting at about 50, paying back a little bit of that with the power production he still has available, and has managed to hit HQ4 for the time being, so that's nice for him. Meanwhile, DT actually managing to make money from his power. He did pay through all of it. PB, not too much debt, most of that actually from the very, very recent auction on the Pleasure Dome. Perhaps a bit questionable if it was worth that full 20 instead of trying to make some cash off this power, but at the end of the day, that Pleasure Dome will have a decent amount of value as we move forward. Not great, but it's an extra claim and a free Pleasure Dome, so hey, take what you can
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, I mean, I think pleasure domes at the best of time or at the worst of times are pretty much always a solid investment, even if it's just for the claim and you can get something back. But yeah, this one, particularly with power dying, is just going to be a very steady income stream. 80 a second isn't very much, but it's not nothing either, and over the course of the game, it adds up.
Man, I got an interesting. I need to check the time on this at some point for how long it was from when Year End committed the first resources and claim to that patent lab to when he first started getting a benefit from it. And that benefit is not great. All he's managed to pick up so far is perpetual motion in a game with $58 power and, of course, a significant amount of his consumption. I believe the
That's
vast majority from his freighters.
that's a weird decision to me to pick up perpetual motion, just because I mean we saw what power was doing uh, before he started on that patent, but also because like power consumption is not a problem for him. He's got those two geotherms at 6 power a second. He's going to be more than covering that. All perpetual motion is going to do is tank the power price even more because he has more of a surplus. He's not necessarily going to pay off more of his debt because of it, because the price is going to crash that much sooner. So it's difficult to justify, I think.
Absolutely. Well, Year End holding on with a B bond rating right now, also relying on Cook the Books to make sure he's
done
going to
that
stay pretty
twice.
solid. Yeah. Important decision for him. PB gets hit by a couple of EMPs, it would appear. He says, ow, actually. Just not really appreciating that, but hey, that's what happens. HQ level 4 expansive player with a significant amount of cash available, 62,000. People are going to be a little worried about you. That's just the way it is.
Another pleasure dome up for auction. This one not maybe quite as valuable, but still with that $62 power, that's gonna be something in this game. And whoever grabs virtual reality is going to benefit from this. 20k for DT. That seems PB.
Ooh,
Wow,
wow.
that's maybe more than I would have paid for it.
Yeah, that got a little weird there. 28,000 for this pleasure dome. I mean, virtual reality is up for grabs still, so there's definitely something to be said for it. Hacker array for DT right now, though. No patent lab for either of these two players just yet. It's pretty expensive pleasure domes, but once again, take what you can get, I suppose.
Yeah, and I guess DT's can afford to spend that amount of money because he's not really going to be making any more money from power, given where power is at in terms of price. So you may as well use some of that free debt that you have. He's only in a AA rating, so it's not really going to affect him, to spend it on something that's going to make him some money. So I'm okay with that decision. He is shorting electronics and buying a bunch into it. That is a safe market for him right now, and I think will get him quite a bit of money.
Yeah, it should be a pretty nice move for him. PB is going to be our first to 5, and, well, immediately EMP'd once again. Not really a pleasant position to be in, but... Ooh,
yeah, I mean, he's the obvious target, and another EMP drops. This one from Blues on DT. He's the obvious target because he's the expansive player who's just hit HQ5, which puts him in a sort of pretty big lead in terms of the amount of money that he can potentially make. And also the fact that Blues is Blues is a scientist. And yeah, it's difficult to target with the MPs. Here's a stop battle, though. DT going into Blues.
Yeah, I don't see this panning out for him. Blues should be able to survive. It's going to be very, very close, though.
He can't defend himself.
Yeah, he's just a little short.
He's dead.
Yep. All right.
Wow.
Goodbye, Blues. Well, that's one more step closer for our yellow and green teams going ahead and taking this one out, and basically seals the deal that the blue team of Blues is going to be gone this time around. I do wonder, did Blues wrap up a patent close to when all that was going down? I mean, he got slant drilling a little before.
Very possibly. Very possibly. I'm actually not sure. I wasn't tracking it. But yeah, it did seem like all of a sudden he didn't have enough money to defend himself. So maybe a patent finished, and that was why.
Yeah, perhaps he was just so very close, but just not quite there. But slant drilling, teleportation, and superconductor on that subsidiary of Blues. Superconductor actually potentially extremely powerful. It does look like we've got a glass kiln coming down. Just on top of silicon, but
Yerand is hacking power up with those double geotherms, so he's wanting to make some more money from that. But yeah, that's indirectly going to help DT potentially, particularly if the AI knows exactly what's up, straight with those solar panels down, and trying to take advantage of that superconductor and the high power price.
Absolutely. Yep. Solar panels coming down with superconductor is going to be fantastic for an AI that, of course, has its debt wiped away when it is purchased. And interestingly enough, both TT and Yerand hacking up power right now. Everybody's just thinking that they're going to be the ones to benefit most from that market. But
well, I think they both will, but I think DT will benefit more just from the amount of money that Blues is going to make as a subsidiary. Expensive claim here, 28k. Which isn't that surprising. Claims on the black market have reached 50, so DT getting this at a cut down price, which is also debt.
It does make his power hack a little more interesting, and he's actually using these extra claims to invest even more in power at the moment.
Yeah.
Seems a little counterintuitive to me, but I guess we'll see how it goes. Man, Blues is producing just so much power. 10 a second surplus from that subsidiary right now.
Well, it's going to kill the power. I mean, it's even with 2 hacks up. I guess, I mean, power hacks do a lot compared to hacks of other resources.
Yeah.
But even with that, it's going to be hard to sustain this power price. And there's the EMP. Comes down on DT's power from Yerand. Correctly guesses that the goon wouldn't be there. It would be in the middle instead.
Yep.
So targets the one on the end.
Just very nice, safe targeting there. Slowdown strike would have been available as well if it was desired. Also very nice for Yerand that nighttime has come, and therefore the solar panels are offline. And of course, PB had rotated out of a significant amount of his power earlier, it looks like. They're coming back online now, but that price is already pretty darn high. I gotta say, though, this power is working out great for DT, purely because Blue's subsidiary has already managed to upgrade to level 5, and is now still, when day comes, going to be making a ridiculous amount of money on this power.
I wonder if it's worth investing in the rest of the ticks of blues. If you're DT, I think I might be tempted to do that, even though he has the upgrade right now. We will see. PB is going into an off-world market though, which is okay. 30k launches, not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too great either in a lot of ways. Once water comes down a bit, it'll actually be way more acceptable since water and food are decent launches. And right now, PB's just really feeling the crunch of all these EMPs all over him. DT really focusing on that, it would seem. Year-End more interested in attacking DT himself.
Yep, and Yerand is pretty close to making money from this power. It is kind of dying. He's got no stock rating because he cooked the books a bunch of times. But yeah, he's in 15k of debt now, and that's coming down by 1,000 a second. So I think he's going to make some money off this power.
I like how this shortage is currently maintaining power's price almost. It
Yeah.
just dropped just a little bit there from 197 to 196. But through the shortage, we're managing to lose power price a little bit. That's pretty impressive.
Well, at the worst of times,
fearless man, you.
At the worst of times, the AI is not shy about putting solar panels down. And when the subsidiary has superconductor and the price is 200, yeah, it's going to build those solar panels.
It's also possible this existing hologram from Blues earlier might be a little confusing for Year-End in particular, not realizing exactly how much power Blues is making. Because, of course, he does have that triangle of solar panels there, rather than just the pair. Big difference in how much production that is.
Yeah, and to all intents and purposes, it looks like a chem refinery, which would also make sense. Well, not that much sense anymore because chems are really bad.
Yeah. Would have made sense some time ago, although it originally looked like a glass kiln, so it's possible people would have spotted that out at some point, who knows, but...
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a lot of mutinies from Year-End, it looks like, onto this DT power. He was pretty sure neither of these would be defended, of course, because of the earlier EMP revealing the Goon Squad locations, and DT has elected to go ahead and commit into this blue stock. I like the decision.
Yeah,
Blues is valuable.
I like the decision a lot. It's so good. 1,500 a second. That's more money than anyone else is making in this game right now, even PB Head with the Offworld, potentially. So DT delays the upgrade to HQ5 until he can manage to get as much of that stock of blues as possible. Because, yeah, that's going to be so valuable.
Yeah. Good job picking up superconductor blues. I think DT is really enjoying it right now.
So Yerand is, well, I was going to say Yerand's making power money. He's not anymore because power's at $3.
$3. Power died, finally. You guys killed it. It took a while, but they managed to get it done. I guess the hacks just kind of stopped flowing. We've got glass surplus out of Year-End. We've got nothing coming from DT right now. He doesn't care. He just wants to finish Year-End off, apparently. Interesting decision. With
I
PB.
think actually, with PB at so much debt and so cheap, I guess PB's defending himself, so it's probably it's about as cheap to go into Yerand as it is into PB because he doesn't have to pay that double. But even so, maybe it's more valuable to go for PB.
Maybe. I mean, on the other hand, the Offworld is hologrammed. It is possible that these guys didn't spot it because they've been so busy most of the time focusing on each other with power plays in particular. Maybe they just didn't see what was happening there. They don't know the Offworld is in place is always a possibility. And that combined with the fact that Year-End has the very obvious strong patents like thinking machines, carbon skimming, nanotech, virtual reality, etc., you get the point. That Year-End is a bit of an obvious threat, while PB with this hologram may not be as obvious a threat, especially considering his debt was rather enormous. He has cleaned that situation up, though.
Yeah, no spies in this game, so yeah, that's gonna be there for a while. I think that Offworld, without anyone particularly seeing what it is. It's also, I mean, Yaren's going into an Offworld as well, but it's also not, and like it definitely isn't a map where like Offworld markets are everything. And we saw, the first round, for example, where the Offworld launches were basically the only way to make money. Like that's definitely not the case here. There are other ways to make money. So just the fact that he's put that down, he's put it in a hologram. There are no spies. Just unexpected, and maybe they're just not looking for it quite as hard as they would otherwise.
Man, DT being very aggressive with his choice of off-road market location. I don't mind it. in a lot of ways. He doesn't have the market down yet, but he's taken a tile adjacent to a couple of warehouses, which in a game without dynamite, far more acceptable in so many ways. On top of that, there's just the advantage that maybe your opponents just won't look at the colony often enough, and you can sneak it in there without them paying attention. PB, meanwhile, is scrapped out of his pleasure dome. Looks like he wants a second off-world market, perhaps?
I imagine so, next to those warehouses. Yeah, I'm not sure I like DT's off-world location, just because it's not really going to fool anyone, is it? Like, even if there's a hologram that looks like an optimization center, you're like, well, yeah, that's going to be an off-world market.
Well, DT knows about PB's off-world. The second that ship lands, the market is struck with a slowdown strike. Going to make sure that that is not pulling in profits anytime soon, which indicates to me that DT probably going to be looking to kill year-end. This is always an interesting strategy to use when you're particularly far ahead. You attack one person's stock, and you attack another person with the black market. So you try and kill off somebody before they become a threat by just eliminating them and getting rid of all their cash before it can buy you. And the other guy, you stop him from developing a stockpile of cash by making sure that none of his buildings are functional. So if that's what DT's trying to do here, it makes a lot of sense for him to target black market on something like this obvious off-world.
Yeah, it does, and I mean it's a it's a luxury to be able to do that. Obviously, in most games, if it's close and you try and do that, then you're just going to get bought out by the other guy whose stock you're attacking. But DT's in a position where he's far enough ahead that he can afford to split his focus, as it were, and basically take on two people at once.
I do find it interesting that the blue subsidiary has had a real cash flow problem for a while now. Has actually ended up in wind turbines in order to put down power because silicon got so expensive, and it's really just been floundering a little bit. So DT's cash income
I don't know.
hasn't been going up quite as much as you would have expected. But the thing is, it rocketed into a great spot in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's making so much money. Like, the fact that it hasn't continued to increase the amount of money it's making, like, I mean, it's still making 1,000 a second. That's still, that's the equivalent of 2 off-worlds.
It is indeed.
At this point, like, it's a whole bunch of money, and I think, it's hard to see, like, DT's almost there with this buy on Yerand, like, this early at this point in the game. We're in the middle of Sol 8, and DT's already potentially looking to finish this one off. He might have to finish his 5th pip of stock because Yerand and PB Head have enough to at least make that uncomfortable in the short term, but as soon as he does that, he's going to be completely safe to go after Yerand.
Yeah, no reason, I think, not to go ahead and secure that. Just go ahead, get it done, make sure you're going to be all right. It is a little strange for DT that he doesn't have any markets down of his own, and he's really been riding this blue subsidiary through the late game to try and make sure he's going to be all right. But if it works, it works.
And the hacker array as well, and he does finish his own stock. But yeah, he's actually made a decent amount of money from this hacker array. He's been hacking electronics. He's also been just annoying hacks like the power ones that have just controlled his debt and made him a little bit of money. But yeah, it is mainly the blue subsidiary. 1,000 a second is a lot of money. Like, you think about, what that would be if, a triangle of resources would be 1,000 a second. They need to be making 330 each. Like, that's a crazy amount of money.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely fantastic subsidiary to have access to. Now, DT, about 100,000 away from being able to finish off year-end if he would like to. I do imagine that's going to be his goal. PB only has 2 DT stocks stored up, and PB's kind of just needing to sit back and try and find somewhere to get a stockpile of cash flowing from. But unfortunately for him, already got the 2 off-world markets down, and other than that, there's just not a strong enough resource here that he could focus on to really pull in some huge amount of money. Oh, Year-end actually selling out of DT there, trying to make things more uncomfortable, give PB as much of an edge as he can.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, like, the amount of money that he needs, or that he would have needed even owning sort of 2 of those DT stock pips. Like, that's, it's close to $1 million. Like, and he had 250,000 or whatever. So, he needs to make the better part of $1 million before DT makes like 100K. And that's just absolutely not a winning proposition. All he can really do is play spoiler, and he's trying his hardest to do that, giving PB every advantage that he possibly can before he gets bought out by DT.
Absolutely. PB, though, still needs to make about $600,000 more to be able to finish off Tacticus. That, of course, is only going to get larger once DT manages to complete his buy onto year-end. I do imagine that's still the direction he's looking to go. no real point in switching out of it once you're this deep into the buy, I'd say. Especially because even once you get to this point, your opponent still is going to need just so much cash to actually bring you down. There year end goes.
That was a mutiny goon as well, wasn't it, from DT on the Offworld at the colony that PB Head has, and he's got control of it for another 2 minutes now. So yeah, if the game wasn't locked up before, I think it is now, just in terms of the amount of income that DT's going to have.
Absolutely. Subsidiaries really not pulling up in that much cash anymore. I find it interesting that the Blues subsidiary has just been successfully losing money for quite some time now. It's just,
yeah, actually,
having
said what I just said, I'm not sure this is entirely over yet. Just because PB has a pretty significant lead in terms of cash, certainly in terms of the amount of cash that he needs. He only needs 500,000.
Yeah,
DT
he doesn't need much.
Yeah, DT needs something of the order of 750,000. And I think DT is making more money, but maybe with the subsidiary income falling off, maybe not enough more money, given, there's not as big of a difference as there needs to be, particularly with those 2 off-worlds that PB is going to have very soon, making 50k a launch.
Yeah, I think this mutiny, though, could be a very, very big deal. I mean, we're talking about effectively a $100,000 swing from this mutiny. 51,000 profit from these launches.
I think, yeah,
right
more than that.
$200,000 swing. Yeah.
Yeah, 200,000, which I think might be the difference if DT manages to pull this out.
It certainly could be the difference, I would say. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like DT. Yeah, maybe DT did get his food timed correctly so that he's getting quite a lot of cash from these mutinies. It's a little bit interesting with the warehouses here because the numbers don't pan out correctly. Also worth noting that DT did eventually take his claim back from the warehouses, never set up that off-world market that he was considering, it looks like, and just committed that elsewhere. So instead he's got some better triangles. There is a network virus down onto DT's Kim refineries, which we're losing money for an extended period of time. And we also see these hacks continuing. DT currently forcing $400 steel, still apparently 180 even after selling out. That is a pretty fantastic hack in a lot of ways, but of course PB can make steel no problem.
Also benefiting. Yeah.
Pulling in a lot of money from that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty close. I think DT might have it. He does have considerably more income than PB Head does, and that subsidiary income again picking up. He's getting over 2k a second now from those 2 subsidiaries combined. So he needs, how much does he need? 400,000. PB Head still needs 500,000. So yeah,
DT should be able to clean this one up.
Yeah,
it was looking like maybe, but I mean, these mutinies have been, I think, a pretty big deal. This is a lot of cash that has been flowing straight into DT's pockets, and PB hasn't been able to do anything about it. Just not able to keep control of his own off-worlds, definitely causing a pretty big problem. So that's a good use of the black market by DT. Big difference between the tip-top players and the ones who are just one level below, making sure that that black market is getting every last bit of value that they can from it.
Yeah, and PB had to spend another 70k on the mutiny, and he also spent another 30k on the goon that he just put on there. And that's money that he just desperately needed to be committing to this stock battle, which is looking like it's over. DT pretty close to being there, another 150k he needs.
Yep, getting very, very close indeed. PB still just a very long ways off, and this is part of just what happens. Once you get into this very late stage, the player with the 2 subsidiaries, their stock price just rockets up because they're gaining stock price as they gain the stock price or as they gain the cash that they need to actually kill you off. And then they also, once they've bought into your stock, their stock price keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And even if the goal initially looks like, it's kind of in reach and maybe I can get there, it's really a lot farther away. And you always need to account for what that price will be when you make the purchase rather than what the price looks like it is now.
Yeah, it's a really fine balancing act sometimes between trying to work out whether your money is better spent invested in the person who you think you're going to kill or whether you need to hold on to it. Yeah. Usually it's better to invest it, but not always, depending on the stock situation.
Well, DT, just about there. One last EMP comes flying out from PB. That is not going to be enough, though. DT got the cash on hand. He is going to hit that red button and take his 5th victory today for his team. His most valuable one yet in our final round. Excellent day for DT. We're going to have to go back and see what else he was doing in replays at some point. But 5 wins out of 5. Not often you have that happen.
Yeah, very impressive indeed. I think, yeah, Black Magic's sweep, whenever that was, back in November, I think, was, I think, the last time that happened. I'm not sure if it's happened at all before then. But yeah, really impressive. And two of those games were against the other captains, albeit this one minus Black Magic. So certainly not a soft schedule for DT to take those wins. Let's have a look, see what's happening in those other games.
Yes, let's go check that.
So Trat Pingvin has won for the green team, and also Bob Rooney has won for the green team. And who has won for the yellow team? Just DT so far. So I think that confirms the green team, the engineering bays, as our winners.
It does look that way. I don't think, yeah, there's just one game left. Not enough points going to be contained within that one in order for the Pastafarians to catch up. So, despite DT's, well, frankly, heroic efforts, that's just not going to do it.
So 5.6 out of the 8.6 points that the yellow team has got have been at the hands of their captain. Despite that, not able to take the team win.
Nope. Good try from DT. Maybe just falling behind in the drafting phase, though. Since it would appear that Year-End did manage to put together the most solid overall team. Another interesting player to point out, I do believe, was Trat Pingvin, who I think has pulled off 3 wins today.
Yep, he has.
Total for the green team. I mean, the green team, definitely a bit of a team effort here, right? Year-End pulling his weight, Bob Rooney pulling his weight, Macros pulling his weight, just all around. Nobody sweeping up, cleaning up the way that DT wins, sweeping all 5, but everybody just contributing here and there. Almost everyone on the green team manages to pick up a win.
Yeah, so that's actually really interesting. So Bob Rooney and Trat Pingvin, I think, are 2 players that we've casted quite a bit over the last sort of few months in various tournaments. And the level of improvement has been like very, very noticeable for those 2 players. Like, they started out their first tournaments, they were a little bit out of their depth maybe in terms of the games that they played. But since then, it's been just such a huge improvement. And now we see how good they've become. And Trat Pingvin taking that win in Group C, round 5 against Philothanic, Polish Noxie, Black Magic, all very, very, very good players. So it's been really good to see that.
Yes, it has. I do find it a bit interesting to see that Rahi and Tubek, 2 players that I was really looking at when I called for the Pastafarians to potentially take this tournament, both coming out with no wins. It'll be interesting to see what happened there. I don't know. I think they were both streaming. I kind of wonder if that impacted things in any way. Streaming, of course, even without commentary, you can get a little more nervous about things sometimes. There's an audience there. That's always going to be in the back of your mind, even if they're directly watching you, even compared to just being broadcast on somebody else's channel. So,
yeah, it can definitely change the way you play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, the red team, I'm afraid, you guys let me down. Not good enough.
Yeah, there was a team. I don't know if Group B game is done or not. We don't know the results of that yet. But so far, there is a team that hasn't picked up any points in round 5 either. And it's interesting to see which one that is.
Happens to be the team that I picked to win the tournament.
It might be that.
Yeah. Oh well.
Might be that.
Never mind.
Oh,
but yeah,
great.
it's been a really good tournament. I mean, in terms of the games that we watched, I don't think there was a single sort of bad game in inverted commas among them. They were all pretty competitive.
No, certainly were.
Like, in some cases there was a clear leader, but there was always a play that they made to be the clear leader rather than just sort of being the clear leader by like default or just being the better player in general. So yeah, really good to see.
At $38,000 found though.
Yeah, it fell apart in a hurry, didn't it?
Yeah, it kind of did. I do want to point out that in that map, the player who found it last in our particular group was the one who won that one.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, just the fact that, he got what was a pretty good location in the north there as a robot with plenty of access to iron. He got those 2 claims from the black market, and I wonder how big that was, because I think claims were quite important in this game. Like they were, prices were good enough for long enough that those claims did work.
Absolutely. DT did have a lot of territory there for a robot in particular, and I'm going to hop on over to the black market. Yeah, DT picking up 3 claims, PB actually grabbing 4, and then Uran taking 1. That was from the black market. Blue's getting no claims from the black market whatsoever because of his early found and his fighting debt, I would have to imagine. And then if we go to the balance sheet, 2 more claims effectively for DT from the black market, 2 more for PB, and 3 more for year-end. Really leaving that Blues behind when it came to just sheer number of claims and amount of territory.
Yeah, and there was that really important breakpoint that Blues didn't quite hit, because he had those iron mines down, and he was hoping, I think, to get to the upgrade based on that alone, but he couldn't quite get there. Had to transition them into steel before he hit HQ2, and that hurt him so much. Like, not having those 3 claims available for what, 40 seconds while he transitioned. That's just such a long time.
Yeah, it was an extremely long period of time that Blues had to wait to hit HQ2, and really he was just pretty far behind from then. Tried to do what he could to stay in the game, obviously got into that patent lab, got a few patents picked up, but just trying to do too much too fast and ends up falling to that majority buy, of course. I think another problem for Blues was maybe he wasn't anticipating the robotic founds in the iron fields to the north. It's quite possible that those got in the way and crashed the iron price a lot faster than he was expecting. Always more likely for that sort of thing to happen than for the aluminum that PB was relying on and was able to use to upgrade to crash out because of where players particularly enjoy founding most of the time. They'll end up in the iron field rather than next to aluminum.
Yeah, and the fact that steel crashed along with iron, as you would expect, given how easy it was for people to make, and also the fact that power got so crazy in the early game because all of that steel was being made. Like the combination of things just conspired to kill Blues. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a there's a decent case that he can make for, it was unfortunate. It was a whole series of events that happened that sort of chain reaction one onto the other that conspired to kill him.
It's true. Although I still say if he just hadn't made those steel mills, or maybe hadn't gone into that 3rd steel mill, had gone for a glass kiln instead. I mean, all he needed in order to survive that majority buy was just one more thing to go right in his direction. And he had enough decisions up until that moment that he could have decided to make a better decision rather than just the sheer forces of the game removing him from it.
Yeah, that's true. We've had the last result, and it's Morgan of the red team that takes that one. Not quite enough to move them off that last place position. But a moral victory nonetheless for the red team. Morgan winning that over Gameslayer, Steph, and Macross. And apparently Gameslayer was a 5,000 per second subsidiary in that game. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
That's just a little ridiculous. Good job, Gameslayer. You're always just so fantastic in your losses. But this also goes to show us today exactly how much moral victories are worth, with Team Motto pulling in less than half the points of the engineering base. Oh boy.
Oh well.
So our final scores are 11.6 for the engineering base, 8.6 for the Pastafarians, 6.4 for APM, and 5.5 for Team Motto.